Oh my God, all the sports worlds are converging. NBA, NHL, MLB, NFL, NCAA. Oh my God.
It's all happening at once.
Sensory overload when it comes to sports. But you have two sane men right here to sort it all out for you.
Where?
Yeah, down the road. Down the road, I think. Maybe we go down to the local liquor store and find a couple.
We might.
But you're going to have to settle for us.
That's right. Sports Frenzy 2.0, your politically incorrect sports commentary.
It is October the 23rd, 2024. This will drop early tomorrow morning. October the 24th, I, of course, am one of your two humble and gracious hosts. I'm the maestro, Kevin Crane, along with
the conquistador, Dave Height, here to entertain you.
Notice how he didn't tack on the humble and gracious, because he's arrogant, and he's pretty much a douche. No.
Arrogant and pompous?
Yeah.
Maybe.
This is my brother from another mother. Don't you dare disparage him. Been by my side for over 30 years in a platonic, non-weird way.
That's right.
Because in this day and age, you've got to clarify.
Yeah.
But you know what comes first here on Sports Frenzy 2.0.
Ba-ba-ba-bum.
The NFL. First off, of course, we look back at last week, week 7. And this is still a very bizarre, and I still think a very sloppy, ugly season to this point.
Yeah, it's still a lot of bad football being played at this point.
Yep, and we'll get to a little more detail on that here in a few minutes, but
the injury bug reared its ugly head, and we'll discuss that as we go through games.
Yeah, I think the best thing we need to do right now, let's start recapping last week, and then a lot of these storylines, the injuries.
Everything will just naturally progress.
It's like Jenga. It's like Tetris. It'll all fall into place.
That's right.
All right, so last Thursday night, the Broncos, in the Sean Payton revenge game that you and I called.
Yeah, that wasn't much of a game, was it?
No, nobody's saying that the Broncos are world beaters, but they're 4-3 now.
Yep, they have a winning record with a rookie quarterback, and the Saints are a pathetic mess.
A lot of it due to injury, but
yes.
I think that's why when they jumped out to a 2-0 start, you and I and everybody else was shocked.
It's like, seriously? This team?
And this is a Dennis Allen coach team? Well, now things, of course, have sorted themselves out. The Saints have lost 5 in a row.
Yeah, we thought maybe the Derek Carr resurrection project was coming up, but alas, no.
So the Broncos go into New Orleans and win 33-10, pretty much destroying the hopes for the Saints. So it'll be interesting to see if they're buyers or sellers. I mean, buyers in terms of let's take in some draft picks. Let's see what we can do for the future. But the problem is,
what can we unload?
But the problem is, they're stuck with Derek Carr.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nobody's taking him.
And they just gave Alvin Kamara a 2-year extension, the one good player on their team. 2-year, $24.5 million extension takes him through the end of the 2026 season. So, like you said, who could they really shed that somebody else would want?
Yeah, they don't have much of anything.
I think the solution, as I said at the beginning of the season, because he was my pick for the first coach to be fired, is get rid of Dennis Allen.
There's the big problem.
There are pieces there in New Orleans. There is a team there that could reasonably be resurrected.
Yeah, there are a couple pieces for a halfway decent coach to do something with.
Well, you've got Olave, you've got Rashid Shaheed, but they're both injured. The defense isn't terrible.
Yeah, they just lack leadership.
And then we move on one more time over the pond. I believe the next time we go over the pond will be in Germany.
Yes, so this time we had the London Jaguars and the New England Patriots.
And the home team won.
Yep, the Jaguars put up 32 on the hapless Patriots, 32-16.
Now, Drake May actually looks halfway decent.
Yeah, he can develop into a decent quarterback.
I think what we're going to see with the Patriots is, and I'm hearing rumblings and rumors already, is this, along with the Raiders technically not a one and done, but close. They're saying Gerard Mayo could be fired after 1 year. Now, the NFL will not like it because, minority head coach, you didn't give him a chance.
Maybe he gets a second year. Who knows?
Well, they got to do something. If they finish 2-15 or 3-14, oof. Drake May is not looking bad, though, given the fact he's stuck in this awful circumstance.
Yeah. Now, maybe they're lining themselves up here. If they get the number 1 overall pick, that's trade bait because they've got their quarterback. So you pull in additional picks or a monster player, they could parlay that into a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, completely agree. Completely agree. But yeah, you're talking about Jaguars team that was on the ropes, and now they have life as they played their home game in London.
Yeah. So
showing a little bit, but I still don't think they're a good team.
like them. They're still not a good team.
No.
So they just played a team worse than them.
And then a shocker in Atlanta. The Seahawks travel across the country, come into Atlanta, and beat the Falcons by 20. 34-14. I believe the Seahawks were on a 3-game losing streak.
They were coming into this one, and you thought, all right, the Falcons are showing signs of life. Maybe they have an opportunity to do something. Yeah, go backwards is what they did.
Something is wrong with this Falcons team. And I'm not blaming Raheem Morris. I'm not blaming Kirk Cousins. You go back to what they were doing in past years with the Artie Party, with Arthur Smith, who now is running this offense in Pittsburgh that can do no wrong. Maybe it's the players. Maybe Kyle Pitts isn't that good. Maybe Drake London isn't that good. Maybe Bijan Robinson isn't that good.
Or
maybe it's the front office.
The coordinator doesn't have a damn clue what he's doing.
But again, this is a different coordinator from last year.
It is,
but we're seeing roughly the same results. A little better. But I still have faith in the Falcons to turn it around. They were my pick to win the NFC South. I still think they're going to, especially once we get to the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
And what they're going through. And there's a big showdown this week down in Tampa. But the NFC South is trash right now, and a lot of it has to do with injuries.
Yeah, injuries are a huge factor. And it's just getting worse.
And the Falcons, despite the fact they just got their doors blown off by Seattle at home, are still the healthiest, best team in that division. Note, healthiest.
Healthiest.
I'm not sold on the Texans either.
No, they're got some injuries going now too. Their top receiver's been out.
So the Packers take care of business at home against the Texans.
Yep, last-second field goal.
Yeah, by all accounts, an ugly, ugly game.
Yeah, from both sides.
Yep. So the Packers get to 5-2. The Texans drop to 5-2. The Texans still should be able to, in that weak AFC South,
they should be able
to the title.
Yeah, they should take that division.
But the thing is, if they want to do anything more beyond that, they need to start getting everything rolling. Joe Mixon has been great, as you will attest to.
Back off of his ankle injury. He missed. They got to get Nico Collins back.
Yeah, Tank Dell sucks!
Hamstring issue.
Tank Dell sucks! He almost sabotaged my entire fantasy football team this week. 0 points. 0 points.
Hey, I had 2 weeks in a row where I wound up with 0 points.
And I think that's going around. I think everybody is dealing with this right now. There are very few reliable fantasy football players at any position you can rely on right now.
Yeah, it's scary what's out there.
So the Packers, now that they have Jordan Love back, look good. I, again, still have questions about the Texans. How are the Colts 4-3? How is that train wreck of a team 4-3? Should I be giving credit to Shane Steichen for being a great head coach? Are they just the luckiest team out there?
They're pretty damn lucky.
They beat the Bears.
They beat the Bears when the Bears' offense was still clueless on what they were doing.
And, of course, now this week, they take advantage of the Dolphins. Won last week without Tua.
Potentially.
Colts win 16-10 down in Indianapolis. But Anthony Richardson does not look like he gets it. The fans are going to start screaming for Joe Flacco. Very soon.
They should, because he was not good. He's not catching it yet.
No, and Jonathan Taylor looks like the second coming of Christian McCaffrey. He's a China doll. You look at him the wrong way, he's out for 4 weeks. And they do not have the backup running backs to make any kind of a difference. So defenses can load up to stop the pass because the run game sucks.
Yeah, and their defense is susceptible to a decent offense.
So the Colts 4-3 with a big showdown this week against the Texans. I cannot buy into the Colts.
No, can't do it. Then we had a big NFC showdown. 2 undefeateds going at it. Lions had 1 loss, sorry. Yeah, so Lions at the Vikings. What a game. We got to listen to it on our way to a concert, which we'll review in the weekend edition on Saturday morning, your hangover cure. But, Lions needed a end-of-game field goal to come back.
Jake Bates, the young kicker who came over from, the XFL, the USFL, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, got the big field goal to give them the 2-point win.
31-29, Lions over Vikings, and now the Vikings, as we mentioned, will have to turn around on a short week, play the Rams.
Yep, a struggling Rams team. They're not healthy.
Or maybe we didn't mention that. Maybe that was our little bit of chatter and talk before we started the podcast.
That was our before discussion.
Behind the curtain.
Yeah. So, this is Sam Darnold playing to stay the starter before the trade deadline hits.
And we'll discuss that more when we get to this week's picks. I promise you this, kids. I promise this to Dave. I promise this to all of you. This is the last time the Giants will ever make the pick list this year. I thought they were showing glimmers of hope.
They are a disaster.
And the Eagles, with Nick Sirianni, the coach that everybody hates, even people in Philadelphia, come in and win 28-3 in New York at MetLife.
Yeah, and Daniel Jones gets benched, hoping to provide a spark. Dable puts him on the bench, trying to spark the offense. It didn't do anything.
Yeah, brought in Drew Lock. Nope.
Nothing.
Drew Lock looked inept. So Dable comes out and says, no, Daniel Jones is still our starting quarterback.
We're just trying to do something to jumpstart the team.
The Giants is another team. We talked about this with the Patriots.
Their front office doesn't know what the hell they're doing.
We're gonna see an entire rebuild coming in this offseason with the Giants because they can get out from the Daniel Jones contract. They can get a new head coach in. They can get a new GM in and just blow it all up
and
start from scratch.
They have to.
Now, here's the game. Here's the interesting game. How long can we talk about this game? Do we have half an hour? I'm telling you.
Where do you start?
The Super Bowl rematch. The Chiefs go into Santa Clara to pay the 49ers. We thought this has got to be the loss.
This is the game the Chiefs will lose. And they still somehow...
With Patrick Mahomes, if you told me that Patrick Mahomes was going to throw 2 picks and throw no touchdown passes, I would have said, oh, this is right. This is what we picked.
Yeah.
49ers blew out the Chiefs. What?
No.
What? 28-18? The Chiefs won? Are you kidding me? Well, number one,
there is something seriously wrong. The Niners just are not clicking in any way.
Well, number one, you lose Brandon Ayuk for the year.
Yep, torn ACL and MCL. The double whammy.
Deebo Samuel's got pneumonia.
Yeah, he tried to give it a go but couldn't.
Jawan Jennings wasn't available. Their spectacular third wide receiver.
Yeah.
When he's in there and he gets a chance, he's very, very good. So that leaves George Kittle and your backup running back.
Yeah,
and then Brock Purdy's got to somehow make something happen against this Chiefs defense that just gets better and better and better under Steve Spagnuolo. And that's how they're winning right now. It's not Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is trash right now. He's hot garbage.
Yeah, he's got nobody to throw to. And
of course, they just traded.
Travis Kelce is done.
Well, that's because your wife is always mad about that because he's on her fantasy team.
But having been their lead guy for the last several years, and now he's completely disappeared.
So, breaking news, DeAndre Hopkins goes from the Titans to the Chiefs for a conditional 4th-round pick. So will this really help Patrick Mahomes all that much? I think it'll help a little bit, but I'm still skeptical as to how much.
Yeah, I don't know. It will definitely help, but
and both of these teams are dealing with unbelievable amounts of injuries.
Yeah, when is Christian McCaffrey ever going to show up?
And of course, the Chiefs lost Isaiah Pacheco. They lost Rashee Rice. And then, of course, Juju Smith-Schuster, the minute he has a great game, he goes down for a couple weeks.
Yeah, his hamstring is pulled.
So nobody's doubting the greatness of the Chiefs, but this is just so weird.
Yeah.
This year is that they're undefeated, and they haven't looked all that good.
No, they haven't.
And I think
everybody else just happens to play worse than them when they face off.
I gotta believe that most people would think that right now, if we got a rematch from Week 1 of the Ravens and Chiefs,
the Ravens would
blows the doors off of the Chiefs.
Yeah, at this point, they would.
And then, well, we were partially wrong, Dave. Again, evil did not completely win the weekend.
No, it did not. Russell Wilson saves the day for the Steelers. Good Lord.
Well, the Jets had the lead at halftime.
Yeah, they were up
15-7, I think, or 15-8, something like that.
Yeah.
And again, we were at a concert,
so we didn't get to
hold it
see
against us. We listened to the end of it on the radio.
But then the Steelers
on the way home.
Shut the Jets out in the second half and run up the score.
Najee Harris looked great. Russell Wilson looked great.
George Pickens looked good finally.
So the Steelers are 5-2, which blows my mind, and the Jets are 2-5, which blows my mind. Now it makes me happy.
It makes me very happy.
But it blows my mind.
Yeah.
With all the talent, we'll trade for Devontae Adams now. He did nothing.
Yeah, non-existent.
And then Aaron Rodgers has got to come out on Pat McAfee again this week and try to justify and defend himself.
He can't. He is the problem with this Jets team right now. They've changed the coach. Nothing. They've got all of his people in, all of Rodgers' people. Everybody he wanted is there. They suck.
Alan Lazard, Jordy Nelson. No,
No.
just kidding about that one. Alan Lazard, yes.
And now Adams.
The
Rodgers is the...
But the thing is, if you look at their schedule for the next month, they are going to, you watch, they're going to bounce back and get to 500, and then people are going to be told, oh, here's Hassan Reddick's back in camp now because they kissed his ass. And they gave him these easy incentive clauses.
To make up his fines.
Yeah. So, yeah, now the defense supposedly will be better, and that's another problem. This legendary, vaunted Jets defense we've heard about.
They limit people to yardage, but they don't generate turnovers.
No sacks.
No sacks. They're susceptible to the deep pass.
Yeah, Sauce Gardner, vastly overrated.
Yeah.
Vastly
Hugely
overrated. So, yeah, now they get Hassan Reddick. Now, what's the reaction going to be? Well, this week they play the Patriots, so watch. They'll get a cakewalk win, and they'll go, we're back.
Yeah, no, nobody is going to believe you're back if you beat the Patriots. And I will laugh my ass off if they lose to the Patriots.
Yeah, at this point now, I am done believing in the Jets, and I will root completely and totally against them, even harder than I have over the last 2 years. Then we move on to Monday night, October the 21st.
Doubleheader.
What a bizarre game down in Tampa Bay with the Ravens and the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers jump out to a 10-point lead. Look like, hey, maybe this team's got the answer. Maybe they can go toe-to-toe.
They figured it out. No, then they get blown out until garbage time.
Yep, and then, of course, the Buccaneers lose both their receivers. Mike Evans early on, they knew he had a hamstring injury, yet they put him out there.
Put him out there, and he made it. He's done for a bit.
Yep, he's out for about a month with the hamstring. They're thinking he'll come back after, I believe, their Week 11 bye.
Yeah. And
Chris Godwin they kept in, even, like you said, garbage time. And it ends up biting them in the ass.
Yep, because he dislocated his ankle late in the game, done for the year.
So now the Buccaneers scrambling. Do you trade for a wide receiver? What are your options? What do you think you can do in this wide open NFC? Can you, if you bring in the right piece, whether it's a Cooper Kupp?
Yeah, can you trade for him for a conditional pick?
But they cannot advance a lot beyond where they are right now in terms of wins, in terms of their standing in the NFC South. They've got to get Baker Mayfield at least one decent weapon now, because he's got nothing. He's going to be dinking and dunking to Cade Otton and to the running backs, and that's all he's got.
So is this where you... Who can you get for the least amount? Do you go for Cooper Kupp, who also now has injury risks? Or do you try and poach from the Panthers with Deontay Johnson?
The only thing I worry about with that is same division.
Right. Will they make that trade?
Right.
Probably not.
Right.
But we've seen weird things happen before.
Yep. So it's going to be very interesting to see what other moves we see. We just saw the Hopkins move with the Chiefs. We've still got time before the trade deadline, which comes relatively early for the NFL.
Yep.
There's going to be desperation moves here.
November 5th.
Yep. So the Ravens win 41-31 down in Tampa.
And hey, let's give credit to the Buccaneers for getting only the second onside kick of the season. And both successful kicks came against the Ravens.
I'm just glad that Todd Bowles, God bless him, told Baker Mayfield, just go out there and sling the ball around, because I ended up winning against
oh my God,
your Uncle Dave's wife. because of Baker Mayfield coming on in the fourth quarter with all those garbage time points.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
So, thank you, Todd Bowles. Thank you, Baker Mayfield. There's a reason that I love you. And then, of course, the other Monday Night Football game, which was only available on ESPN Plus, that definitely deserves the Horn of Disgrace. And this game pretty much deserved the Horn of Disgrace, as the Cardinals
What a train wreck.
the Chargers 17-15. The Chargers only can put up 5 field goals.
What the
Even though Justin Herbert throws for over 350 yards.
They can't find the end zone.
Yeah.
Absolutely pathetic.
And I've been saying the Chargers, I know, are at least a year away. They've got to spend some money on some offensive talent. Don't blame Justin Herbert. I know. We've been saying this for the last 3 years because we were blaming his head coach, Brandon Staley, arguably the worst head coach in NFL history. And now we're going to say, oh, you can't blame him because they don't have the... Well, they lost Keenan Allen. They lost Mike Williams.
Yeah.
So he's got nobody to throw to.
Nobody to protect him.
You have got to give this team a year. And Harbaugh will still keep them relevant. They'll still win 7 or 8 games.
I mean, for
minimum.
crying out loud, they can't even run block.
And the Cardinals are basically... This is a game they should win, given the fact they got top-level quarterback. How about Marvin Harrison Jr.? He's turning out to be an unbelievable disappointment.
Yeah, he has not shown up at all, which is kind of scary. And some of the people pre-draft said he'll probably be the first receiver taken, but talent-wise, he's probably 4th or 5th. And it's turning out to be looking that way with the way the other rookie receivers are playing.
Well, Malik Neighbors has had issues too. We have always talked about us running a team because we should. And you know that I think you agree with me. I don't like the prima donna, high top level wide receivers.
No, give me the guy who's the workmanlike person who goes out there, who...
Cooper Kupp.
Yep.
Even though with the injury risk, I know. But Puka Nacua, looking at the Rams. Look how smart the Rams drafted after giving up all those draft picks to go all in to win 1 Super Bowl.
DJ Moore is not a prima donna.
DJ Moore, yes. There are plenty of wide receivers out there you can get who are not drafted in the first round, who are not even drafted in the second round, as opposed to guys like Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors. It's a very, very high risk, high reward investment.
Yeah, so that's why the Bears, we got to see with Rome Odunze how he turns out. So far,
and I say next year. Next year is the year we grade him, not this year, because Keenan Allen's going to want to step up. He's going to want to have because he's in a contract year,
right?
And he knows he's going to be somewhere else next year.
Yeah.
And Rome's going to take over that number 2 slot.
But what we've seen out of him has been pretty good.
Right, but you have to temper your expectations.
Yes.
So Bears fans aren't panicking.
No,
Bears
not
fans
at
are
all.
Extremely happy with, of course, Bears on a bye this week. Extremely happy with where we are right now. And we should, conceivably, we'll get to the picks in a minute, conceivably win and go 5-2 this week.
Yes, there's the possibility.
This is a big litmus test for not Caleb Williams, but the coaching staff.
Yes, for the coaching staff and for the Bears' offensive line.
All right, so we've got some other headlines in games that we did not cover. Let's start off with the Cleveland Browns. Multiple stories in Cleveland. Of course, Deshaun Watson, their quarterback,
tore his Achilles. This gives them an out for the rest of the year without having to bench him.
But the reaction from the fans, the reaction from the players, very, very difficult to sift through. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston acting like he's Lord Byron the poet as he's philosophizing about, putting your life on the line every week. Shut up, Jameis! Jameis, you were the poster child for bad behavior for quarterbacks before Deshaun Watson was.
That's right. So come on.
And now you're the beneficiary. You're the one that's going to step in and give Cleveland fans a little bit of hope.
Now, can you finally pull your head out of your ass and actually play quarterback?
And he's got Nick Chubb back. So if the Browns are going to do anything to salvage this season, the time is now. I believe that the fans were cheering because I'm trying to be a little bit optimistic here. I'm not trying to believe in the dark art of humanity.
That they were cheering?
I think they just wanted a break. They knew they needed somebody to take Deshaun Watson and push him to the sidelines. Yeah. Whether it was injury, whether it was the coach, whether it was the front office.
He needed to be off the field
and they
for a
actually
while.
Got lucky that this is the way things went. The decision was made for them. Now they have a little tiny kernel of hope.
That maybe we might see something. Who knows?
They're still not going to make the playoffs, but...
No, they put themselves too far down.
The Raiders. Well, they've been talking about who's going to be the quarterback all year. Is it going to be Gardner Minshew? Is it going to be Aiden O'Connell? Well, now that decision has been made for them. Because Aiden O'Connell broke his thumb. He is out 4 to 6 weeks. So now the Booger Eater... We'll talk more about that later.
Yes, we will.
I had to throw that out there. I had to put the brakes on.
You had to temper.
Yes. Temper expectations. Red Foreman would want us to wait.
Yes, we have to.
For further comment on that. But now Gardner Minshew will be in as starting quarterback. And we all know by now, we're closing in on the halfway point of the season. The Raiders are in tankathon mode. The Raiders want Shedeur Sanders. They want one of those top quarterbacks next year. So this, again, Aiden O'Connell busting his thumb.
And is this really the year to play tankathon because for a quarterback?
Not really, no.
No, this is not a strong quarterback class at all.
But I'm telling you, the conspiracy theory, and we love a good conspiracy theory, is that the Raiders blow this all up. Antonio Pierce, just like Gerard Mayo, it's a bad look for the NFL. Another black head coach gets
but
fired.
They fire him, but then they'll replace him with Dion.
And Shedeur. It'll be a package deal because we know that's what Dion's going to dictate. It's going to be between the Raiders and the Cowboys. But the problem is the Cowboys can't get rid of Dak Prescott.
Right, not after signing him to that $60 million a year deal.
It'll be very interesting to see where this goes. And of course, we talked about Chris Godwin. We talked about Mike Evans with the Bucs. Terrible, terrible situation for them. And then Jaden Daniels, uncertain for the game here coming up with the Bears.
Yep.
Big showdown between rookie quarterbacks with a rib injury.
Yep. You would think the designation week to week, with that designation from the coach, he's going to miss at least 1 week.
And what did I tell you in the car coming back from the concert Sunday night when we heard this? What did I say? No way in holy hell do we lose to Marcus Mariota.
No, we cannot lose to Marcus Mariota.
And that's why I said this is going to be a litmus test weekend for the Bears coaching staff.
Yes. Can they actually pull this off? And you got a pretty damn good Washington defense that will the Bears offensive line.
They're not that good.
They're better than they faced the last couple weeks.
I'm not worried about the Washington defense.
So
I am worried about, is Matt Eberflus going to be able to keep the ship lined up on the horizon, keep it going,
keep them rolling.
get this team rolling for the next couple weeks before they hit iceberg territory.
Yeah, before the division kicks in.
Yes, before it's 2 games with the Lions, 2 games with the Vikings, 2 games with the Packers. Not to mention the rest of the schedule's not that easy.
No. It's getting tougher from here on out.
They have the potential to go 7-2
before division play hits.
Yes.
Yes.
And of course, borderline dumbass of the week. I've got a few of them here, but I didn't want to overwhelm you because you get mad at me when I go over 5.
You pick angry.
So I did not. So I kind of slipped them in as we go along.
That's what
here,
she
Dave.
said.
Lions wide receiver Jameson Williams, sorry.
Jameson, yes.
Yeah, I was just thinking of Jameis Winston.
Yes, Jameson Williams.
Who, of course, we all know got nailed for a gambling suspension.
This guy is an idiot.
That's why
He should have been in the dumbass of the week. He was one of the ones I expected.
Jameson Williams gets now on top of what he served earlier in his career with the gambling. Now he gets a 2-game suspension for PEDs. If there's a chink in the armor with the Lions, it could be this.
Yep, this is the guy.
Because now you're not using Sam Laporta. Now your number 2 wide receiver's gone for a couple games. You can't rely on Amon St. Brown to do everything.
Right.
But you have a great running game. We'll see. The Lions have got to clean this stuff up a little bit.
Yeah.
Got to clean this up.
This is kind of disappointing from a team led by Dan Campbell.
And I know everybody's talking about the Lions need another pass rusher. I think they need another wide receiver.
They need a wide.
They need somebody.
They need somebody to take the pressure off St. Brown.
Yes, and you cannot rely on Jameson Williams.
Obviously.
And then going back to the Browns as we wrap up the NFL before we get to this week's picks. Browns reject any notion. Have we heard this before in baseball, Dave? Reject any notion that they want another stadium downtown in Cleveland, and they're going to the suburbs. They said we want a dome stadium in the suburb of Brook Park, which is, I believe, about 15 miles southwest of Cleveland.
Yep. Very interesting that they want to leave the lakefront.
Yep.
Gee, Bears, maybe you should take note. You don't want to be on the lakefront.
And if you listen to, and the Browns don't do very many things right, but if you listen to the logic of why they rejected, renovations to the lakefront stadium they're at right now, outside of the fact that they're so close to that pathetic, putrid Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you're on the lakefront. It boxes you in. It limits parking. It limits the fact that you can't build
you can't
around
build an
it.
entertainment district.
That's why these teams want to be away from the water. They don't want to be boxed in. They want to be able to build entertainment districts.
You want flexibility. You want people to have multiple avenues for ingress and egress.
And that's why I don't understand what the Bears are doing.
Yeah. You're so limited right there.
We've been there. We've done that. We've gone to see concerts on the lakefront. There's parking.
One way
there's nothing to do.
One way out. And there's nothing around there.
No, there is nothing to do. No parking. Nothing. Oh, speaking of the Bears, this is another one that could have been a dumbass. Our former quarterback savior,
Jay Cutler.
arrested down in Tennessee. Of course, he went to Vanderbilt. So that's why he was down in Tennessee, his stomping grounds, his home territory, arrested for a DUI and gun charges. Yep.
Oh.
Because, of course, you can't be in possession in Tennessee of a gun when you're drunk.
So there you go.
Way to go, Jay. Way to go.
Jackass.
You're making Kristen Cavallari look really smart.
Yes.
Since she dumped your ass.
Even though she's on getting ready for her fourth relationship since.
Yeah, she's no prince or princess either.
No, she is not.
All right, Dave, should we move on to our slate of picks?
Sure, let's get through these.
For the NFL, for NFL Week 8, here we go, Thursday night.
Vikings at the Rams.
I don't like the fact the Rams have got too many rumors swirling about too many trades. Cooper Kupp just coming back, that should be a positive, but the problem is it's a negative because now he's thinking about, and he's acknowledged,
could I be traded?
Matthew Stafford now. There are rumblings and rumors about.
Could I be traded? And one of the rumors is, could he be traded to the Vikings?
The team they're playing.
Could there be a quarterback swap?
Sam Darnold needs to play well here. Needs to play very, very well here.
Show this is your team.
Rough loss here against the Lions. Bounce back. Win this game against an inferior team.
Yeah, because the Rams are scuffling.
But Sam's
going with he's on Ram Island right now.
Yep, 7 of our 8 panelists have their picks in. Everybody else going with the Vikings. Now, I'll admit right now, very light slate in the NFL this week. Not a lot of great matchups. Same thing for college. So keep that in mind as we go through.
All right. Then we get to Sunday. Eagles at the Bengals.
This could be the best game of the weekend.
It could be. You've got a very underperforming Bengals team at home.
And they always start off slow. Always start off slow. Doesn't matter. Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, they always start off slow. But this is the time of year when they pick it up. And the Eagles, we've talked
about their ineptitude.
Well, we talked about the fact that they are talented beyond belief, but their coach is the most hated coach by fans, by the media, by everybody in the NFL.
Right now, he cannot get them in sync.
They have been winning, but they have not been winning impressively. The Bengals will win this game at home.
Yep, but we have Nick on Eagle Island.
Yep, I think the Bengals need this game more. They're healthy. Yes, the defense has not been good, but they're getting better. And Nick Sirianni will find a way to fuck this up.
As he usually does.
He'll win one, and then he'll lose one. And then everybody will come after him. And then next week he'll find a way to win.
Yeah, it's a pattern.
Yep. He's like the guy on death row where the drugs don't work, or the electric chair shorts out, and he goes, "Oh damn it,
son of a gun again!"
Yeah, I gotta get another last meal in a couple weeks when we try this again.
Then the Cardinals at the Dolphins, potentially Tua's return.
This is what I'm banking on.
Maybe. Will he be rusty? That's why I am not taking the Dolphins.
Sam and I are taking the Dolphins. Everybody else, you and Bill and Aaron and Doug and Nick, all taking the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I believe that as long as Tua, they have got to take him into a dark room. Sorry, concussion people. Take him into a dark room. Yeah, Mike Leach.
Yeah.
Craig James kid. Take him in and say, listen to me. Don't run the goddamn ball ever again for the rest of your life.
Do not drop your head. If you're going to run, slide.
This is his last chance. This is Tua's last. If he gets another concussion, the Dolphins are going to have to make contingency plans for the future.
Yes, they do.
Now, I think this raises the total value of everybody on the Dolphins offense.
If he comes back, it's still not been official.
It's sounding by all accounts, as we pick here on Wednesday night. You got to pick on Wednesday night.
Yep. It sounds like he's going to play.
I think that will be the spark the Dolphins need You know,
I'm looking
the
at
coach
the
can go smoke a bowl after the game after a Dolphins victory.
I hope you're right, but I just don't have faith at the moment. They need to prove it to me. Tua's got to show he is fully functional.
I understand. So we go from your secondary team to my secondary team, dealing with issues too.
Yep. So the Falcons at the Buccaneers.
This one hurts. This one hurts me so much because I tell you, I am loving Baker Mayfield right now. That guy is the find of the century. Given how much we're paying him, how we just pulled him off the scrap heap.
And he is playing well. This is the Baker Mayfield that everybody thought he was going to be from the beginning.
Can I point something out to you, by the way? This is why you don't give up on quarterbacks. And I'm not talking about Sam Darnold. And he could end up being a reclamation story. A great reclamation story. He's not, but Jared Goff.
Reclamation.
Well, not. Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield were discarded by the teams that drafted them. They thought this quarterback, these guys, Goff and Mayfield, aren't any good. They're not going to take us to the promised land. They're not going to win us a championship. And now look what has happened with both of them. Goff arguably leading the most efficient offense in the NFL, along with Lamar Jackson, and Baker Mayfield's not that far behind until
he loses his two top receivers.
Now that poor guy is stuck in a mess.
Yeah, this is no man's land for the Buccaneers right now.
And as much as I want to see them win this game at home, they've already lost to the Falcons once in Atlanta. So this is a killer.
Yeah, this hurts. But it's a split right now. Pretty much.
Well, you and I, Bill, and Doug are taking the Falcons.
Taking the Falcons. Sam, Nick, and Aaron having faith in the Buccaneers. How are they going to score points?
You're asking too many guys to step up in terms of wide receivers.
Yeah. That's going to be a tough haul.
You mentioned a trade. That's not going to happen in time to help them out this Sunday.
No. All right. Then Colts at the Texans.
I had to put this game on the schedule because technically this is for the lead in the AFC South.
It is.
But I don't see any way the Colts can hang with the Texans.
No.
Texans come off that brutal loss in Green Bay at Lambeau. Texans win this game easily.
They're going to be focused. But Aaron is on Colts Island. Maybe he's hoping for Flacco to come back.
They're not going to ever bring Flacco back unless a
Richards is hurt.
quote-unquote injury.
Yeah.
Phantom injury, whatever. They're going to have to make up some, like we talked about with the Panthers. Of course, the Panthers are never going to be on this slate, ever.
No, never.
But Andy Dalton was in a car accident with his family. Now they're all good. That's
everybody's fine. But is he going to be too stiff? Does he have whiplash? Is there something?
Well, they've already said Bryce Young is going to go back
and
become the starter again. Poor Dave Canales, stuck with this nightmare in Carolina.
This is like Groundhog Day.
Is he another coach like Gerard Mayo? Could he be another one and done? Are they going to throw him under the bus?
You can't throw him under the bus for this mess created by the front office and the owner.
And the problem is failure begets failure.
Yeah.
You know, the teams that finish at the bottom of the standings usually have the worst ownership, the worst coaching staffs, the worst talent.
The worst front office.
And then you bring in a young quarterback
who you
expect him to be the savior, and you destroy him. Caleb Williams with the Bears got lucky. He came into a situation where the team had cap room, had already put a plan in place because they knew by screwing the Panthers and getting the number one pick they knew would be Caleb Williams, they already had a plan in place, players in place to put Caleb Williams in for success right away.
They realized they had the wrong offensive coordinator. They brought in a different coordinator who's had success with a reclamation project quarterback.
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith out in Seattle. So things are trending well.
And that's another great point. Going back to what we were talking about. Another guy, multiple teams gave up on. Geno Smith is not a goddamn bad quarterback.
No, he's pretty good.
Yeah. But you got to get him with the right coaching staff, the right talent, in the right system at the right time.
Yeah. Now, we had hoped for Gardner Minshew that maybe this year would have been it for him. It's showing that maybe he just actually isn't a starting quarterback.
Yeah, I know. I've always rooted for Gardner Minshew, that beautiful booger eater. It just isn't happening for him.
No,
it just isn't. Him and the naked lunges and everything he does.
It's just not a good thing.
No. All right, big game. We just talked about Geno Smith. Big game in Seattle. I am shocked, Dave. Shocked.
Nobody's going with the home Seahawks.
Coming off an impressive road win against the Falcons, the Bills at Seattle. Everybody is taking the Bills. Is that how impressive this Amari Cooper trade was? This is the upgrade now the offense needed to now put them in the upper echelon?
Potentially. We'll see.
I couldn't pull the trigger on the upset.
I couldn't either.
Although I do like the Seahawks. I really do.
They are a feisty team.
Flexed to the late window. Late Sunday afternoon. Although I do believe they were hoping.
They were hoping for the Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels showdown. And right now it's looking like it's going to be Caleb Williams and Marcus Mariota.
Taking nothing away from the Commanders. They have played great. And Marcus Mariota looked good in relief of an injured Jaden Daniels. But the Bears coming off a bye week. This is where it all comes together. I've been alluding to this for the last 45 minutes.
Yep. This is
on Matt Eberflus and the coaching staff.
Yes.
You go on the road. Teams in first place you're playing against in the NFC East. You need to win this game, especially if it's the backup quarterback.
Yes, you have to beat a backup quarterback.
You're rested, you're healthy, you go and you blow the doors off of the Commanders. Again, get some momentum going before you hit the wall. And Bears fans will understand. We will understand. It's going to be a very rough road once we hit November.
The NFC North is a juggernaut.
Once we hit early November on, that schedule is brutal for the Bears.
So you have got to get the wins that you should get now, which is why losing to the Colts hurts so bad.
Yeah.
And that was a Texans game that the Bears could have won as well.
Yep. But Caleb Williams was still getting his feet under him.
Waldron was still trying to learn his offensive personnel.
DeAndre Swift looked abysmal the first 3 weeks, and now all of a sudden he looks like the best running back in the NFL. Well, sorry, Derrick Henry. Sorry.
Yeah, one of.
I don't want to piss off Derrick Henry.
No.
But Bears across the board. Then finally, this shocks me a little bit. This is one where I almost pulled the upset trigger.
I was really close, but the Cowboys are so dysfunctional.
Yep, Cowboys going to Santa Clara to play the San Francisco 49ers, coming off that brutal loss to the Chiefs.
They still play better as a team. The Cowboys have no concept of playing like a team right now.
I will just tell you my line of thinking. We all went with the 49ers. Let me tell you that right off the bat, kids. The 7 panelists with their picks in, all taking San Francisco, despite the injury to Ayuk, despite the fact Deebo Samuel might not play, despite the fact that CMC is still out.
China doll, for all you novices out there.
The Cowboys suck at home right now. But on the road, they are 3-0 this year on the road. that was what I was kind of leaning. Should I pick the upset? Should I pick? Then I looked to see who they beat on the road. And I said, okay, they beat Cleveland.
Yeah.
They beat the Giants.
Yeah.
Now, they did beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh. That's their one impressive win, their one impressive game to me of the whole season. Is that enough for me to pick them on the road against a desperate 49ers team? No.
No.
Can't do it.
I can't pick a Mike McCarthy-led team over a Kyle Shanahan-led team.
Unless it's a Super Bowl.
Right.
Kyle Shanahan can win any game, anywhere, anytime, except a Super Bowl. He's got to prove that to us.
Right.
So there you go, kids. There's your hour of NFL.
Good Lord.
We give you this every week. So we got to move on to the college ranks now.
Yep.
So last week, and we're not going to cover every game, don't worry. We had a slobber knocker last Friday night as BYU barely held off the one-eyed mullet.
Oklahoma State loses again by a field goal.
Bad year for
Gundy.
Mike Gundy. Bad year for Oklahoma State. They were supposed to be so much better than this. BYU last Friday night wins 38-35. My Miami Hurricanes.
Oof, shootout.
Could be the greatest offense in the history of the Hurricanes and could be the worst defense in the history of the Hurricanes.
Yeah. 52-45 against Louisville.
They just can't. The last month, they can't win easy. They just can't.
No, they have to come from behind or they just have to keep scoring.
Impressive win for, dare I say it, the Indiana Hoosiers. 56-7. Now, their starting quarterback was injured, but backup quarterback comes in, they don't miss a beat.
No, he's a former starter himself, so they just keep rolling. What was it? Indiana is now ranked higher than Alabama.
Yes, thank you.
For the first time in football.
Oh, no, I've got a better stat for you than that. You're correct, but Indiana in football and basketball, if you look at this, you flip this, who would have ever thought? Cats and dogs sleeping together.
Mass chaos.
Indiana is ranked higher than Alabama in football. Right now, Indiana is 13th, Alabama 15th, but in basketball,
it's the
Alabama in the preseason polls is ranked second, where IU is 17th.
Yeah, so go figure.
Yep.
IU basketball has been a disaster since Kelvin Sampson ruined that program with his violations.
You know what? I really liked Tom Crane, too. I really did.
But they lost so many scholarships and were under so many penalties.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be the guy to really bring, and he tried, and he had a little bit of success.
But the hole that Kelvin Sampson buried them in, and that this guy still has a coaching career.
Successful one, too.
Yeah, at Houston, is it?
Yes. Yep.
Jack off.
Another team that might have the wrong coach as we move back to football is Oklahoma. And I told you so, Dave.
Yes,
I
yes,
fucking
you
told
did.
you so. South Carolina destroyed Oklahoma in Norman 35-9.
Yep, I thought there was going to be the South Carolina hangover. I thought the Cocks were going to go limp. They did not.
The Cocks were strong. Brett Venables just isn't a. I knew the minute they hired him, it was like we always refer to this, the Adam Gase Dolphins press conference. Or the Jets.
The
no,
Jets
the Jets
press
one.
conference.
The Jets one was worse.
The crazy eyes.
Yes, the crazy eyes. Venables just did not impress me when they brought him in from Clemson.
Some guys are just coordinators.
Yeah. All right, I thought Jalen Milroe in Alabama was better than this, but Tennessee at home, they hold home court, home serve. They beat Alabama 24-17. So Alabama now, as we mentioned, drops all the way down to 15th. Very, very much in danger of not making the playoff.
Yep.
Tennessee, I still don't think they're as good as we thought they were a month ago.
No, there's still something not quite right there.
But they did win this one. That keeps them alive
Yep.
for a playoff spot. How about the Illini?
Illinois is making me kind of a believer. 21-7 win at home against Michigan.
Michigan's. We'll get to the pick this week, the rivalry game. Michigan, I am not a firm believer in what they're doing right now.
They've got some issues.
I'm not going to blame Jim Harbaugh. I don't want to say he left them in shambles, but I don't think they hired the right guy to take over the program.
No. Like we said, some people are meant to be coordinators.
Yep. Deion Sanders keeps rolling on. 34-7 on the road, beating Arizona. Maybe Prime. Coach Prime has got something going now.
He's on a bit of a roll right now.
So we got him coming up on the slate this week.
Yep.
We won't talk about Baylor and Texas Tech.
Curse you, Red Raiders.
Yeah, they're on the slate again this week as well.
Bastards.
Yeah, you love it. I'm going to put them on every week just to piss you off. Yes, Baylor beat Texas Tech badly.
59-35. Ugh.
This another game that's going to lead into our picks for this week. LSU took care of business on the road in Arkansas, 34-10. Just keep this in mind. Dave and I think, are the only two sane people on the panel this week.
We could be.
Then, of course, another number one this year shits the bed.
In a big game.
Number 5, Georgia goes in to Texas and doubles up. 30-15.
Unbelievable.
So what we might have seen this past weekend is two top Heisman Trophy candidates in Ewers for Texas and Milroe for Alabama fall by the wayside, clearing the path for one Cam Ward.
Or Mr. Hunter.
Shut up, Dave!
The two-way
No, it's all
Coach Prime.
It's Cam Ward's world, and we're all living in it. Just remember that.
The two-way player.
The greatest quarterback in Miami history.
Yeah, keep dreaming.
Who's better?
You're right.
Gino Torretta? Even I knew Gino Torretta sucked ass. Vinny was okay.
You liked Vinny.
Bernie was okay. Jim Kelly was okay. Jim Kelly, of course, got a lot better in the Cam Ward is the greatest quarterback in the history of the Miami Hurricanes. And shame on people if they can't acknowledge that.
He is having a hell of a season.
You look at his numbers.
They're insane.
Yes. He needs a defense.
Yes.
That's it. I don't want to talk about that anymore. I don't want to talk about any more of these games. We're going on to this week.
There we go.
We're moving on to this week. Let's talk about the stuff that matters.
All right.
Now, before we do, we should note what's going on in the polls. Because of Texas getting knocked off, Oregon is now the new number one team in the country. Georgia with one loss, number 2.
I don't buy that. I don't care if they beat Texas with one loss. They should not be that high.
They lost to the number 15 team in the country.
Exactly. So why are they being rewarded in this way? Because they're a fucking SEC team.
Now we talked about Miami winning against Louisville. They are still number 6, undefeated, 7-0. I'm not complaining. I'll take it. I know there's a couple teams with one loss ahead of us. That's fine. I look at it. I analyze it.
Use it as a chip.
I think we would destroy Penn State. The other 4 teams would be tough. I will say that. That's being me.
Yeah.
Me being fair as a Miami Hurricanes fan.
Now, if the Canes had a defense,
Top team in the country. Top team in the country.
with the way that offense is
Yes.
playing, they need to have a defense.
Notre Dame beats Georgia Tech 31-13. I thought that could have been a possible trap game.
Yep, they showed up
So they're 6-1. They are 12th.
still.
I think everybody, we watch them. The pollsters out there watch them. They're just not there. Riley
Leonard is the problem with that team. He can't throw the frickin' ball.
and the slow starts,
Yeah.
which the head coach has acknowledged. They have got to get off to better starts. He's basically saying we got to come out and start blowing the doors off our opponents right away.
off the
We can't
get-go.
wait till the third quarter to do it.
Right. And he knows that, and he tried to have the game called to do that. Leonard cannot do it.
And even though this game is not on the slate for this week because of the cruel, mean restrictions Dave and Aaron have put on me when I put these games together, Notre Dame's schedule now looks a little more difficult because the military schools are actually good.
They're actually ranked. They're playing
So
well.
now this week you get Navy, and a couple weeks down the road you get Army. So we'll see. I mean,
not
they're
gonna
a
be a
double-digit
cakewalk.
favorite. Notre Dame
But
is.
they always struggle with those teams.
Again, not on the slate this week. Start off Friday night with what I think could be the best game of the week. Friday night, October the 25th, number 17, Boise State. They've got their Heisman favorite, the running back,
Yeah.
who's averaging, I believe, over 9 yards a carry.
Yeah, something insane like that. That's a little nuts.
They are going to the desert to play UNLV, who has not missed a step since that punk-ass kid, starting quarterback.
You're not giving me my NIL money.
Next man up. Next man up. They have been fine.
This is going to be a hell of a game.
This is how my logic works on this. Boise State is not good enough to go through the season with one loss. They're not that good. This is where they lose. I looked at the rest of their schedule. They should win out up until the Mountain West title game. But this is going to be the second loss because UNLV and Boise State will meet again in the Mountain West title game. UNLV wins this game. Bill agrees with me. The rest you can go to hell.
Yep, we took Boise State. I don't know. This was a coin flip.
It's a close game. It is.
This was a coin flip.
This is why I'm saying it's the best game of the weekend. It's not even on Saturday.
Yeah. So.
Then we move on to Saturday, October the 26th. Washington goes down to Bloomington to play the number 13 Hoosiers.
Indiana's just rolling.
Yeah, Washington's inconsistent.
Yeah, they're up and down. Indiana, their coach has them firing on cylinders.
Yeah, the only reason I think this game is only roughly a touchdown in favor of IU in the point spread is because of the quarterback uncertainty.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, the kid's played before. He started before last year. They've got bigger fish to fry down the road.
Yeah.
They've got a showdown with Ohio State coming. They've got Michigan coming.
Yep. They need to just stay on track one game at a time.
Yep. Indiana across the board, 7 of our 8 picks in.
Oh, God.
See, now you and Aaron gave me grief years ago about you're putting the easy games just because 2 ranked teams are playing, but there's a 20-point differential. You shouldn't put that on our slate.
That's right. So we
So-
pick the tough games.
So there's certain teams since you guys put those restrictions on me, there's certain teams that seem to always fall into the schedule week in and week out. Those 7-5, 8-4 teams
That screw us
because
over
the
time and time
the
again.
point spreads always are 4-5, and they always play these close games. And here are two of them. Here are our two of our most beloved picks.
Yep, Texas Tech, who we just ridiculed, and TCU.
God help me. God help me.
You and Nick.
I'm taking Texas Tech.
I'm just taking TCU because they're at home.
They're a 6.5 point favorite, but I just looked at Texas. This is the type of game Texas Tech should win. This is the one they'll pull out of their ass.
Yeah, it's possible.
And then next week they'll be favored by 9 or 10
and then
they'll
lose by 40.
Yes.
Yeah.
So again, Nick and I, Texas Tech, everybody else, TCU. I can't figure this one out.
BYU at UCF, why it's only a 1.5 point
In
game.
favor of UCF.
Yeah. UCF is
They're on
trash.
They're on a 4-game losing streak
They have
right
not
now.
looked good even when they
But
won.
well, no, that's what people are saying. But they've lost to some good teams.
Yeah, there's another good team they're playing.
Number 11 BYU wins.
Yes.
Everybody across the board.
BYU.
I swear to God, if UCF wins, I'm done with this crap. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. 4-game losing streak. BYU. BYU's got to win this.
BYU.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I missed that.
Sam's taking UCF? What the hell?
All these initials mess me up.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
We do have a UCF pick. And I'm telling
Well, there
you,
you
Sam does
go.
this. Sam will do this on purpose. He will take the favorite just because he's trying to take the easy way out.
Yeah.
The Battle of Ohio.
Yep, Bowling Green and Toledo.
Toledo's a better team.
They are. They're at home.
Although Aaron is taking Bowling
Aaron's
Green.
taking Bowling Green. The rest of us taking Toledo.
This is the one.
This is the game where.
Okay.
Are we trying to be too clever?
No. This is number one. Around here in northern Indiana, where we record the podcast, there is a hatred for Brian Kelly that knows no bounds. And I get it. But I am not a former, current, or future Notre Dame fan. So it doesn't affect me.
I'm sane enough to recognize a win for him when it's there.
Number 8, LSU. At number 14, Texas A&M. Everybody all of a sudden on this Texas A&M bandwagon.
Now, I've been picking A&M consistently.
You have been. Yep.
Not this week.
No, you and I take LSU.
The better team.
The other 5 panelists with their picks in go with A&M. And yes, A&M's favored by 2.5, but...
The LSU is the better team.
Yeah, I don't see this. I don't see this. I will admit, number 3, Penn State at Wisconsin. I almost pulled the upset trigger on this.
Fuck Wisconsin. They screw us every freaking time we pick them.
That's why I didn't.
Every damn time.
They have played well the last couple weeks, and I was like, is this the time of year where James Franklin shits the bed? I can't.
Not at Wisconsin.
I can't. So everybody, 7 picks in, Penn State.
Pedophile state across the board.
This was another one. Now this one at least, Wisconsin has played well for about 2 or 3 weeks. Michigan State just had one great game against Iowa last week. So now people are, Michigan State's got momentum. And yes, Michigan has played poorly. In the big house, though.
At home against your in-state rival, no, Michigan State does not have the team to go in there to win.
So Michigan State at Michigan. All of us take Michigan except
Nick going with the upset.
Michigan State, the Spartans for Nick. A little bit more Mountain West action for you, kids. San Jose State at Fresno State. Fresno State for everybody except Bill and I. I like San Jose State a little bit better. Looked at their schedule, looked at how they're playing.
Yeah, this is always a toss. These are two toss-up teams that have screwed us over repeatedly.
Yeah.
That's why I took the home team.
And I was actually very conservative this week. Like I said, I was thinking about Michigan State, didn't pull the trigger. I was thinking about Wisconsin, didn't pull the trigger. So I actually did not go out on an island this week on any of my picks.
But you know who went on an island on this next pick?
Our last pick in college?
Yep. Cincinnati at Colorado. Doug is on Cincinnati Island.
Yeah, and I hate to say it. I root against him with every fiber of my being. I hate Deion Sanders. I hated him as a player. He was a mercenary. He was overrated. I hate him as a coach. I don't want to see him on another goddamn advertisement for the rest of my life. But he's doing a decent job this year.
Yep.
He is.
He's got that team playing well.
And you've been talking about here a couple minutes ago how you've been picking Texas A&M, but you realize that this week LSU's the better team.
Yeah.
I've been picking Cincinnati this year.
You have.
And they've come through very well for me. Not this week. Colorado at home. Everybody, like you said, except Doug. That's it. Football. Finally. Over and done.
That's what you get here on Spotify, Good Pods, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, CastBox, Amazon, Audible, and iHeart Sports Frenzy, baby.
And, of course, don't forget to check out the Facebook page where all 8 of our panelists' picks will be posted by Thursday night, by the kickoff of the Thursday night games. Now, of course, we will move on to everything else in sports. Yes.
Even baseball.
We'll move on to the great American pastime. Yes, baseball.
Yep.
Yeah, so this will take about 2 minutes.
Are we giving it that long?
Because, yes, we are bitter Chicago baseball fans.
The only good of this World Series is it's not a Subway Series.
Amen, brother. Amen.
But it's still 2 teams I can't stand, and I'm not watching.
And, of course, high payrolls, once again proving that in baseball, they're always going to throw that. Oh, the Diamondbacks made the World Series last year. Did they win it? No.
Did they get back this year? No.
Yankees and the Dodgers, starting Friday nights, October the 25th.
Whoop-de-frickin-do.
Yeah, and this is where I don't understand the delusional fans on the West Coast and in New York who think that the rest of the country gives 2 ripped shits about their teams. We know you paid for the best talent where other teams, 2/3 of the league, couldn't.
Yeah. So, who cares?
Like you said, the only thing worse would have been a Mets-Yankees World Series.
Yeah. So this Dodgers-Yankees will boost the ratings a little bit in that regard.
Oh, and you know what they're gonna focus on? Do you know that 97% of the population in Japan watched this World Series?
Because of Ohtani and what's his name? Yeah,
Yamamoto.
Who cares?
Yamamoto, who actually sucked this year?
Yeah. Who cares?
And that pisses me off, by the way. Because my man, Imanaga, was 10 times better
Oh, absolutely.
than Yamamoto. Nobody talks about him, though.
Yamanagwa wasn't he in the running for the Cy Young?
I imagine he will finish in the top 5 in the Cy Young in the NL this year. Speaking of the Cubs, thank you very much, Dave.
You're welcome.
Not great news, but we'll see how it plays out. My man Nico Horner, our second baseman, super secret right hand surgery. So, of course, they get this done right after the season has ended. So, hopefully, Nico will be back in good form come March. Nico's one of my favorite Cubs. I love Nico because he's one of the few guys that can hit 270 and actually steal some bases.
Who's semi-consistent.
Yeah, I still don't understand what Council's doing with the leadoff spot. He's waiting for Pete Crow Armstrong to get better, but you need to have PCA and Nico at the top of the lineup. Not Ian Happ. I don't understand the obsession with putting Ian Happ at the top of the order. I just don't. Ian Happ's a number 6 hitter.
He's Jed's boy.
One final thing going back to Shohei Ohtani. And we will have a follow-up on this later on in the show. But the baseball that solidified him as a 50-50 player.
Yes.
The auction is done. It is over. For a baseball, sold for a record $3.6 million. And that's not even counting there's a premium tacked on. Because if you're so rich, then you can pay a little bit more.
Right, because you have to pay the auction fees.
Yeah, it's like they don't call it auction fees, though.
But it is.
Jacked it up to $4.392 million.
So what, his former interpreter used the ill-gotten gains to buy it and going to try and make more off of it?
Wouldn't that be funny? Now you put this in my head. Now I got this image of him in his jail cell with the ball rubbing it. I win, Shohei. I win. All right. Let's
cue your Dr. No laugh.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's move on to NASCAR. Of course, a terrible race for Dave and I.
My God, it started out fantastic with Tyler Reddick winning the first stage.
Of course, we're referring to our personal competition here among our Sports Frenzy panelists.
And then at the start of stage 2, makes an ill-advised move, gets put up in a fence, spun, goes through the grass, hits an access road, and rolls his car over, ending his day.
So once again, the Big Blue W, who hates NASCAR, looks like he's going to win his 3rd Frenzy Cup, I believe, in the last 5 years. Whereas Dave and I, Dave's been watching NASCAR forever. I've been watching it for over 30 years. We sit here and we go through all the numbers and the permutations and everything that could possibly happen and who should we pick, where should we pick them, for what track.
And it just blows up in our face every damn time.
Moon River right up the ass, Doc.
Both hands.
I got a little bit luckier with Kyle Larson. He had a terrible pit stop, but at least he was able to finish the race. Christopher Bell had the pole. Ryan Blaney set himself back in a bad spot, and it definitely did not pay off for him as he wrecked in practice, put himself at the back of the field, and then he just got in all sorts of mess.
Yeah, there was no helping.
Chase Elliott was in that wreck with Tyler Reddick.
Yep.
So right now you are looking at win or in for Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott. Hamlin's could get in on points, but it would take a miracle.
Yeah, it's just
right now
ugly.
You've got the top. Joey Logano winning this race. Joey Logano won at Vegas. Yep. Winning this race screwed everything up. I'm not saying there's conspiracy. I'm not saying anything like that.
But
but the fact that he got in because Alex Bowman failed inspection.
And now here he is.
And now the next race where he barely gets in, wins, and puts himself in the final race.
Kind of setting things up for him.
So right now, Logano in. Bell, Larson, Byron. would be in right now on points, but they've got 2 more races to get through.
Yep. Oh.
Now, before we get to playoff race 8, a couple little racing tidbits. I'm going to be interested for your reaction on one of these.
The new Truck Series driver?
No, but go ahead and tell
Malcolm
the people.
in the Middle's Frankie Munoz?
Tell the people about Frankie.
Frankie has been into racing since he ended his acting career. He kind of gave up acting to focus on this. He's been dinking around with it. He gets a full-time ride in the Craftsman Truck Series after running ARCA for the last couple years.
Yep, Frankie Munoz will be running the number 33 in 2025 for the Room Brothers.
Yep, not Vroom, Room. So good for him.
Yeah, that's cool. Better than Keanu Reeves. No, but the one I really wanted your opinion on was the breaking news today, because Dave and I have very, very firm, staunch rules about changing things after the fact. Whether it's after a season started or going back in history and rewriting the rules. So I'm going to be very interested to hear your reaction to breaking news today that NASCAR has decided, going all the way back to 1971,
bullshit.
They have given Bobby Allison a win at Bowman Gray Stadium back in 1971, back when they were running different cars. There were different cars running back then.
Right.
And at the time, because that race at Bowman Gray Stadium featured the 2 different types of cars, Allison won, but that's not a Cup Series win. Now they have decided to make it a Cup win.
Oh, bullshit.
So now Bobby Allison gets an extra win, breaking his tie with Darrell Waltrip. Bobby Allison now 4th, alone in 4th all time in Cup wins.
Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. He was not driving a Cup car.
You're right. He was not, as I mentioned.
It was a sportsman.
Yep.
I believe. Sorry, it doesn't count. Different division. End of discussion.
And you fuck over DW. I don't like that.
Bad form.
DW and Bobby Allison were tied. Now Allison is alone in 4th.
Bullshit.
That leads us to who will win playoff race 8 coming up this Sunday, October the 27th. The Straight Talk Wireless 400 at Homestead Miami Speedway. We've got 7 of our 8 picks in, and we have got 7 different drivers.
Yep. Makes it very interesting.
Yep. Now, Bill, as we mentioned, has a big lead.
Yep. And
he's trying, though. He is trying. I thought last week with Martin Truex, I don't want to race anymore. I don't want to get this season over with so I can retire. And then he runs one of his best races of the year.
Yeah, go figure.
Because Bill picked him.
So now are we supposed to believe Austin Dillon is going to have a fantastic race?
Yes, believe it or not, kids, I don't know. He almost seems like he's toying with us.
He said, oh, well, maybe I'll give him some semblance of hope. I've got a couple of drivers that I still have.
Yeah, his last 2 races, we know who he's going to take. And he's got 2 of
it's just which order is he going to take?
Yeah, he's got 2 of the playoff drivers that are still left. But he's taking Austin Dillon for Homestead. I'm going with William Byron.
I'm taking Kyle Larson. Sam's got Martin Truex. Nick's got Ryan Blaney.
Doug's got Kyle Busch. And Aaron has got Joey Logano. Jen's pick still pending. Could go 8 different drivers this week, which is, like you said, always fun.
Yep.
I said this last week. I shouldn't say it again. But, God, this looks like a great opportunity to pick up 20 or 30 points.
Yeah. We'll see. I had originally penciled in Joey Logano for this race. But with him winning last week, I had to shift tactics.
And you were right. You were right to admonish me last week. You were very, very right. When I took Kyle Larson, and I said Kyle Larson's going to go back-to-back, you said nope.
Don't go back-to-back.
Yep. Sure enough, didn't happen, so I bow down to the conquistador.
I was right
and
for
his
once.
His wisdom and knowledge. What are you talking about?
Every so often I come up with
You are the defending fantasy football champion, and you're number one again this year. You figured this shit out. It only took you a decade, but you figured it out.
Hey, I've won it before.
Now we just got to figure out how we beat the guy that
who
hates NASCAR
at our own game.
Yeah. All right, moving on to other sports. The NBA has tipped off. Yay!
Oh, yay. We made history with LeBron and Bronny playing together as the first father-son tandem.
How stupid.
Now,
this with the Griffies, too?
Yeah, it was.
We've got the Griffies there, too, the father-son.
Who cares?
It's two different sports.
All it is a fucking publicity stunt. Now, would you please do Bronny a favor and send him to the G League to develop like he needs to?
Yeah, the difference is LeBron Hall of Famer, Ken Griffey Jr. Hall of Famer. Ken Griffey Sr. might not be a Hall of Famer, but he was a damn good player. Who's the odd man out here?
Yeah, Bronny hasn't shown anything yet.
And when Ken Griffey Jr. was coming up, everybody knew he was going to be special.
Yeah, just like when LeBron came in, everybody knew he had the talent to be a special player. We've not seen anything like that out of Bronny.
No. Yeah, I was getting
so
tired.
You talk about the ultimate Nepo baby right now.
Yeah, I was getting so tired this past day of listening to all these talking heads. Isn't this a special moment? Isn't it so wonderful? No! It's stupid! I'm sick of the nepotism bullshit.
It was a gimmick. Bronny does not belong in the NBA right now.
We see it in sports, not only on the court, on the field. We see it in broadcasting.
Yeah.
We see it with Chris Sims has got to be in the booth. Zach Collinsworth has got to be in the booth. And then we see it in Hollywood.
Everywhere.
Pretty much every weekend we bring that up on the weekend edition this Saturday morning.
Your Saturday morning hangover cure.
So we only had a couple games to tip off the season last night. Many more games going on right now as we record.
Boston raises their 18th championship banner and ties the record with three-pointers at 29.
You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. They were my badasses of the week.
That's why I brought them up, because they're my badasses of the week.
But can I do something here? I'm going to do something a little bit different. They were my Clint Eastwood badasses of the week, but also one of my dumbasses of the week. Let me explain why. Because yes, the Boston Celtics on opening night last night raised their banners, and then they tied the record with 29 made three-pointers, but they could have obliterated the record except for dumbasses missed their last 13 three-point attempts.
That's pathetic. That is pathetic.
Could have had the record all to themselves.
But
then they go stone fucking cold. But still, they destroyed the Knicks. And this trade the Knicks made.
That's a statement off the bat.
The two games that they had on last night, very interesting if you look at the connection, because the Celtics destroy the Knicks. And the Knicks and the Timberwolves made that trade where Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo went to Minnesota, and then Karl Anthony Towns came to the Knicks. Guess what? Knicks lost. Timberwolves lost to LeBron and the Lakers on opening night. So this could be one of those lose-lose trades.
It could be.
Where they destroyed the chemistry on both teams.
Yep.
Because the Lakers aren't supposed to be that damn good.
No, they're not.
For them to beat the Timberwolves, bad start for the Timberwolves. And then we had a whole bunch of last-minute signings right before the season tipped off. And again, no big star. The big stars are already locked up.
Yeah, so now it's just all your role players.
Yeah, but they're still getting stupid money.
Overpaid for riding the pine.
And I'm pointing out one of the guys on my team, the Orlando Magic, Jalen Suggs, gets a 5-year, $150 million extension for being, the 5th or 6th best player on the team?
They've got stupid money. It's ridiculous.
And I'm looking at the ticker as it's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. I'm seeing the Rockets are giving crazy money to some guy I've never heard of. And I'm just, where is the money coming from in the NBA?
China.
I can't believe this shit. I cannot believe. We're going to get to the WNBA in a second. And it's all basketball. I'm telling you, there is a conspiracy going on with basketball.
There's something not right.
Now we've got an investigation already. Opening night. We've already got the front office, the NBA front office talking about opening an investigation. Because why? We've already got a bunch of star players saying they're not going to play opening night when their teams tip off. Of course.
You cannot do load management on opening night, you assholes.
Kawhi Leonard, shocker.
Oh, he's a useless piece of garbage.
Kawhi Leonard is out indefinitely to start the season with knee inflammation.
Ooh.
But the one that is causing all the issues and the investigation, supposedly forthcoming, is Joel Embiid with the Sixers. He was good enough to play in the playoffs earlier this year, but now, my knees acting up, and they've already ruled him out for the first 3 games of the regular season.
You know what? Sorry, bye-bye.
Well, here's the worst part. He opened his yap. To somebody, I don't know, podcaster, reporter, whoever, and said, I don't see myself ever playing both ends of a back-to-back for the rest of my career.
You loser.
And that's what the NBA is now.
You freaking loser.
The NBA is now investing. And now they're saying that they have heard the same thing from the Philadelphia 76ers front office, where they're saying, we don't plan on Paul George or Joel Embiid ever playing both ends of a back-to-back.
That's pathetic. That is absolutely
This is
pathetic.
what you get from giving athletes guaranteed money. You get complacency. You screw
the
don't
fans.
care. We don't care. Yeah, we don't care about the fans. We don't care about TV contracts. We don't care about TV ratings. We don't care about the overall health of the sport. We care about us. Me. Oh, and now, as I mentioned,
it should be the National Me Association.
Well, now we move on to the WNBA. And, of course, the WNBA decides now, after 1 year of success, even though they lost money again.
Of course they did.
We all know they're subsidized by the NBA. China, as you said. Okay, first off, let's acknowledge the finals. 5 games. Next year we'll go to 7. New York Liberty beat the Minnesota Lynx in overtime, 67-62, to win their first title in 28 years. That would, of course, be the entire history of the WNBA. So, normally we would say congratulations to the New York Liberty, but...
Do we?
There are issues. There are problems.
Officiating issues. Was it a rigged game? Was it a rigged series?
Yep.
Was a no call called?
The head coach of the Minnesota Lynx, the Greg Popovich lesbian, Cheryl Reeve, says, quote, "The shit was stolen from us," unquote. So she's not going down gracefully.
No, she's not. She's not always been a class act.
Then on top of that, 1 year of success, 1 year. And again, they still lost money. So success is relative. The minute the season ends, the Players Union says, yeah, we're going to opt out of the CBA. So we'll play 1 more year, and if we can't come to an agreement on higher pay and all this other crap we want, we're going to shut the league down after next year.
You know what? Fine. Let it happen.
It's unbelievable. One player raised up your league. You tried to beat her ass on the court. You tried to degrade her in the media. You lost money still. You lost money.
And now you want to earn more. Right.
And one last thing. Now, you and I know we've talked about this in the past. The ultimate goal for a city is to win a title in all 4 major sports, right? NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB. Oh, they've changed that now.
Oh, now you have to have 5. You have to have
6. No.
WNBA and soccer?
Yes.
Fuck soccer.
They're now calling it the Grand Sextet.
Nobody cares about the WNBA and soccer.
Yeah, WNBA and MLS have
Nobody
to be included.
Cares about them. They're irrelevant.
Dave, we're missing things here.
They're irrelevant.
See, I can tolerate the WNBA. I watched a lot of it early on this year. I fucking hate soccer.
There's no way in hell
I don't care what Messi does. I don't care if Messi goes and blows goats. Leave me alone.
Pants for all I care.
And all these stupid ass websites, ESPN and Yahoo, all they want to do is tell me what Inter Miami is doing. I don't give 2 shits about a 2-to-1, 2.5 hour long soccer match. I don't. It's boring as shit.
Yeah,
and they're like barely athletes. Yes, great. They can run up and down. I can't anymore. I'm almost 60.
But guess what? They're also the biggest pansies in all of sports, and I use sports for them loosely. Because you take a bump and, oh my God, I'm dying, you ended my career.
You get a red card. You get a yellow card.
Idiots. And if you don't flop, your teammate will shove you to the ground.
Anyway, we are getting close to college basketball season starting up. Shocking news out of the NCAA. Virginia head coach Tony Bennett retires with just a few weeks to go before the start of the 2024-25 NCAA basketball season.
Yep, because he's done dealing with the NIL. He's done dealing with the transfer portal. It's not worth it for his sanity anymore. Good for him. Which is kind of why Saban got out of the game.
Yeah, keep in mind, he actually signed a contract extension earlier this year.
Yeah.
He walked away from a huge contract. He was technically going to be paid Now, I don't think it works the same way with coaches as it does with players, where it's all guaranteed. So I think he walked away from most of this contract
Yeah.
because he was under contract through 2029, 2030. And I think he's leaving all that money on the table.
Which tells you how stupid college sports has become.
And then, of course, there's a massive controversy, and I don't want to get too far into the weeds on this, but San Jose State, their women's volleyball team has a transgender athlete on it.
Yep.
And there are 4 teams, 4 colleges, who have already said, we'll forfeit the games, we're not playing them.
Yep. And more are considering doing the same.
I don't normally talk about overseas athletics, and this is going to be a very vague reference, but I believe somewhere over in Europe, I read today, that they're having protests because literally there was a women's, I think it's a soccer team, where, again, keep in mind the key word, women's soccer team, 2 of the players have facial hair.
Yeah.
Because they're transitioning.
Yeah. And one of their opposing players asked, or the opposing player, young lady on the autism spectrum, she does not recognize social cues well, and she just says what she says. Asked one of them if they were a man or a woman. Wanted to know because of the facial hair. And now she is being banned from playing because the player lodged a complaint. Well, that was just that was homophobic, and she's just mean to me. It's an innocent, legitimate fucking question.
Fuck the alphabet mafia. Fuck the worst, most destructive force in this country is the alphabet mafia.
Yep, ruining everything for supposed equality. Equality, my ass.
You're a bunch of fucking bullies. You are a bunch of fucking bullies. And it's just typical. The people that complain the most about being, insulted and degraded are the biggest bullies in the world right now. Guaranteed. Look at any group, any faction in the country, in the world. If they complain the loudest, they are the biggest bullies. Now, we're seeing the end of an era in tennis. We've been alluding to this. But now, another nail in the coffin. We have seen the final matchup between Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic. They played an exhibition in Saudi Arabia back a few days ago on October the 19th. Djokovic won, but the main thing is that will be the last time these two greats, the top 2 in terms of majors won among the men, will ever play again.
Yeah.
And I still don't know who's gonna save tennis now, men's or women's. Who is You have no Williams sisters on the women's side. You're gonna lose Nadal. Federer's already gone, and now you got Djokovic on
who's probably in his last year.
Yeah. Who's gonna step up? Who's gonna step up?
Wide open field.
How you feel about the Blackhawks?
Yeah, they got 2 wins. 2-4-1. Sitting with 5 points right now.
I have to give Gary Bettman a ton of credit. I know, shocking. But last night was opening night, as I mentioned, just a couple games for the mighty NBA, right?
Yeah.
So everybody talking on October the 22nd about,
NBA. Gary
Bettman says, fuck it. It's Frozen Frenzy night. We're throwing every team out there staggered out throughout the night.
Yep.
Great. Love it.
Good for you.
Love it.
That's akin to the NFL taking over Christmas Day.
Yes.
Once again, the way it should be. Now we need the NCAA to step up and put bowl games back on Christmas Day.
Yeah. I'm going to say this and get on my bully pulpit. The NBA is not this popular. It's not. It is not this popular. I don't care what the media says. I don't care what the contracts say. There's something going on here. As Dave says, China. Something is going on here behind the scenes to prop up this sport that is not as popular as everybody seems to think it is. But you know who was popular? Back in the early 80s? Fernando Valenzuela.
Yep, Fernando Mania swept the country, especially in L.A., where he pitched for the Dodgers.
The last time the Dodgers and the Yankees met in the World Series. Fernando Mania. Dodgers beat the Yankees back in, I believe, 1981.
Yep. So, we have lost Fernando Valenzuela at age 63. Tip your sombreros to his memory.
Yep, and back then, the thing is, you had these pitchers, and I guess the modern-day equivalent would be Paul Skeens, if you want to look at him like this. But you had Mark Fidderich, you had Fernando Valenzuela, these young guys that would come up and nobody could hit them.
Yep.
At least for the first year or two. Then the hitters would catch up.
Caught on, and then they adjusted, and so it was a good back and forth.
Yep. But, the great, legendary Fernando Valenzuela got sick, I believe, doing the Spanish broadcast.
Yeah.
And then just something happened and...
complications.
Yep. So thoughts and prayers to the Dodgers. Will this motivate the Dodgers as they go into this World Series against the Yankees? But one moment of silence, and then what do we do, Dave?
We need to pivot as we decide who of your 5 contestants will be this week's Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week.
And of course, I tried to slip a couple in, and you were mad at me. You think that Jamison Williams should have been one of the dumbass candidates. You can still put him in there.
He's still there. Let's see what else we have.
But I have 5 other ones. And one I alluded to, let's start off with that. A few weeks ago, we talked about Gardner Minshew. Caught on the sidelines. Cameras everywhere. There are cameras everywhere. Figure this out, kids.
It's the Spalding kid.
They're
He's picking his
watching
nose
you.
again. Is he going to eat it?
They're watching you everywhere, every second of every minute of every day. They've got infrared satellites. They can penetrate the roof. So even if you're laying in your bed, picking your nose and eating it.
Electric eye is always watching.
Well, it turns out Gardner Minshew might not be the only NFL quarterback.
Not alone.
Who, on the sidelines,
wants
gets
a little vitamin B.
But this time, it turns out to be the smartest, greatest quarterback of all time.
Oh, Mr. Rogers.
Aaron Rodgers caught on camera looking like...
he was digging for gold.
He wants to use the Jerry Seinfeld excuse. Not a pick! Not a pick!
Not a pick. I was scratching the side of my nose. Then why did you lick your finger after?
Now, I'll give him credit. He addressed this on Pat McAfee this week. He actually discussed it. He claims, I know what it looks like. It's a bad look. But of course, he says, of course I did not eat it. I've never done that.
Bullshit.
And of course, I think McAfee said, even when you were like 7 or 8 years old, no.
4 or 5. How would you remember back that far?
But Aaron Rodgers, Booger Eater, is our first potential dumbass of the week. Now, another one that will tie into something we talked about earlier. We talked about the Shohei Ohtani 50-50 ball and how it was auctioned off for over $3.5 million before the extra bonus rich guy fee.
Yeah.
The great thing about it is the company that held the auction, Golden Auctions, okay? Still, from what I could glean, from what I could discern, $3.6 million baseball. Still going to charge $19 shipping and handling. Don't you think?
Oh my God! I
Maybe-
think for the
maybe.
million plus you got as your contingent or whatever fee, you could cover the shipping and handling.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is petty bullshit. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, there's like a 0.9% insurance fee and then $19 shipping and handling.
God,
Yeah.
that's bad.
Yeah, could you just waive that at some point?
You know, if this person who won the auction has that much damn money, they can afford to fly out and pick it up themselves.
I think I would do that just to be a dick. Just to be like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm not trying
yeah.
to rub my... But if you're going to do this... and-
Screw you, I'm coming to pick it up.
Yeah, I'm going to fly out on my Learjet, piss off Leo DiCaprio and all the environmentally correct Hollywood elites, waste all that fuel, all that time, all that money to fly out, save $19.
There's principalities
Yeah.
involved. I'll spend 20 grand to save 19.
All right. Well, Dave, we have already, I think, given everybody our true feelings about the NBA.
Yes, I
as
think
the
we
season
have.
starts, but we're not done yet. The NBA is starting a new metric, a new statistic,
Oh, God.
which I'm sure they will shove down our throats all year long. And this is another reason to hate the NBA. Now we will be subjected to, believe it or not, the dunk score. The dunk score will take into account jump, power, style, and defensive contest in order to score each and every dunk that we see throughout the NBA season.
Nobody gives a shit.
Doesn't that sound to you like they're turning the NBA into gymnastics?
Yes, it does.
How is this a legitimate statistic?
It's not. It is not a legitimate stat at all. It's more made up hooey so they can throw some other flashy little graphic up on the screen. Dumb beyond belief.
Okay, if you listen to the weekend edition, which you should, each and every Saturday morning, this weekend, our review of Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers live in concert, the brand new album from The Offspring, Supercharged, Amazon Prime movie Brothers, among other things.
We got a lot to cover.
But we tend to delve a little bit more into politics, Hollywood on Saturday morning. But because this ties into sports, and because I'm trying to be balanced and fair, I tend to rip into Democrats a little bit more than I do Republicans. I figured I better try to even out the scales as we get closer to the election. So as much as it pains me to do it, I'm calling out Donald Trump. because at a recent rally in Pennsylvania,
oh my God,
somehow, some way, for some reason, Donald Trump got on a rant about Arnold Palmer's private parts and talking about how much of a man Arnold Palmer was. The legendary size of his legendary penis. Donald,
what are you fixated on this for? Seriously, what are you hiding?
just focus on the issues, Donald. You got this. You're dealing with a moron. You're up against a moron.
See, are we not going to double down on him for his stupidity trying to make himself sound like a former athlete? Where he was playing high school football as a tight end, but didn't like to get hit?
They all say shit like that. Honestly, all these politicians brag about how tough they are.
But they're not.
And we'll get to that on the weekend edition, by the way. None of them are.
No.
None of them are.
No.
I did see a very interesting political cartoon today with Donald Trump in the drive-thru window at McDonald's handing an application out the window to Kamala Harris. I thought that was funny.
That's pretty good.
But Donald, okay, stop talking about...
Stop being an idiot.
Men's penises and focus on the issues. Okay, dude? And then finally, kind of, sort of going back to the NBA. The FCC proposing a $147,000 fine on ESPN. Why? Why would you fine the great people at ESPN?
Why not?
Because they found out back in 2023, we're looking at the start right now of the 2024 season for the NBA. Back last year at this time, they were airing promos for the start of the 2023 season using the emergency alert. Which, of course, is a violation. If there is not a legitimate emergency.
You cannot use that tone.
And they have 6 instances before ESPN finally figured out they shouldn't be doing it and pulled it off the air.
Fine their ass.
So here's your 5 dumbasses, Dave.
Oh.
Golden auctions for the $19 shipping and handling.
I actually kind of like that one.
On the Ohtani ball. Aaron Rodgers for being a booger eater. The dunk score. The new NBA metric. Donald Trump for obsessing about Arnold Palmer's wanker. And the ESPN for actually coming across bad with the FCC for using the emergency alert system in NBA promos last year.
I'm going with the NBA and the stupid dunk score.
I do hate that. I do hate that.
That is just so dumb.
I think I'm going to go with ESPN. I mean, this is another example of, isn't there somebody in the room who
had one job?
Who goes, maybe we shouldn't use the emergency alert system in our ads for the NBA? Oh, shut up, Jimmy. What do you know? You're just an intern.
Yeah.
All right, so there you go.
Refill my scotch. I'm on a roll here.
Yeah, hurry up. I got to bang one of the 5 or 6 willing ESPN female broadcasters here. Because that's just what we do. We get a daisy chain going.
Oh, there you go.
All right. As we said throughout this podcast episode, do not forget to check out this Saturday morning, the weekend edition, where your Uncle Dave and I will discuss the best and the worst in pop culture, rock and roll, music, movies, TV, streaming, everything.
In the politically incorrect way only we can do.
But if you just want to deal with sports and love what we talk about when it comes to sports, and why wouldn't you?
Then we'll talk to you again in 7.
But until that time, he's the conquistador, Dave Height.
He's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
Dave, say goodnight to the kids without talking about Arnold Palmer's penis.
Say goodnight to the kids without talking about Arnold Palmer's penis.
You're a better man than Donald Trump, Dave. We'll see you Saturday morning, kids.